Right, we're here with Joe Schuele from the U.S. Meat Export Federation at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and the Beef Industry Annual Convention in Nashville. And Joe, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about what's happening with beef exports. We've seen really some great progress over the last few years, and kind of what you see happening as we get into 2012, and where some of the potential is, and maybe what some of the continuing challenges are in the export markets.
Well, the news across the globe is very good as far as beef exports are concerned. In 2010, we broke $4 billion for the first time. That was the first time we had exceeded pre-BSE levels in value, going over $4 billion. Well, in 2011, we're going to shatter that mark. The December numbers are not in yet, but when they are, we will be at about $5.3 billion. So we're well above where we were a year ago. And really, the successes are almost too many to mention. We're way up in both Japan and Korea, although I hasten to add that we're not quite back to where we were pre-BSE in Japan and Korea. So there's still a lot of room for growth there. We continue to take back market share in those markets, and we have a lot of room for growth in Asia yet. Hong Kong is way up. We're still shut out of mainland China, but Hong Kong is a very strong market for us. Southeast Asia has been very strong this year. We've also had a lot of success in Canada. Canada will be a $1 billion market for U.S. beef this year. And Mexico, we struggle a little bit because the peso has been a little bit up and down this year, but Mexico has rebounded. It will be just short of $1 billion to Mexico this year. Some other areas that have had outstanding growth include the Middle East. We've had a lot of political and economic turmoil in the Middle East, but it hasn't affected our exports. We're still very strong in Egypt and in places like the UAE and Saudi Arabia. And Central and South America has been very good, seeing a lot of growth down there, and we'll have further help now with the Panama and Colombia free trade agreements. Those markets should be very good. Chile has been a very strong market for U.S. beef this year, so we're seeing a lot of growth in Latin America, and we set a new value record in Russia. Russia is a little bit of a turbulent market, but we're doing quite well there presently.
Well, that's really good to hear, and nice to see U.S. beef getting back into some of those markets where we've struggled in recent years. And what do you see for 2012? Do you expect that pace to continue? As of course, see changing economies in a lot of these different countries, but what do you foresee for this year?
We think demand will remain very strong in 2012. It's hard to say what will happen with some of our trading partner currencies, but if the yen remains strong, if the Korean won remains strong, we would expect demand to be very good there. We're hopeful that we might get some expanded access into Japan. They still have the 20-month cattle age limit. We would like to see some relief from that, possibly go to 30 months. There's some other markets where some age limits hold us back. Mexico, we're still restricted to 30 months and under, and Mexico's a market where we probably could sell some beef from older cows if we had that opportunity. So we have a few market access issues like that to work out, but we would see 5 or 6% growth coming in 2012 if the economic conditions remain the same, if the global economy remains on the rebound, we would see further growth in 2012 because demand is just very, very strong.
Excellent, and I know the exports have really added a lot of value to our fed cattle, and that, of course, trickles back to the value of calves and feeder cattle, and really benefited the producers, and hopefully maybe stimulate some expansion in our herd so that we can continue to meet that demand.
Yes, we're hopeful of that too. If you take the export value for last year and you divide it by the fed steer and heifer slaughter, it's coming out to over $200, about $205 per head. That's about $50 more than we were just a year ago. And so really you can see that there's excellent premiums being offered by the global markets, excellent returns for the producer. And I think it's important that we look at this from a big picture standpoint. I see some national news reports and some complaints in the national news media about beef prices are so high, and boy, we need some relief. And one of the ways, if we'd stop exporting so much beef, maybe our domestic prices would be lower. And I think quite the opposite is true. I think if you don't allow the U.S. producer to capitalize on a red-hot global market, that you're going to see further herd contraction. I mean, I think the global markets are one of the great sources of optimism for producers. I think they're one of the reasons people want to expand their ranches and expand their feedlots. And if you take that opportunity away, I think herd contraction will continue.